The night was humid, the kind that stuck to your skin even with the AC blasting. Marcus had just finished a 12-hour shift at the downtown LA hotel where he worked as a concierge. His feet were numb, his back ached, and his brain throbbed from the relentless parade of complaints, late check-ins, and entitled guests. It was 1:17 a.m. when he turned onto Mulholland Drive, a route he didn't usually take. The GPS had rerouted him due to an accident on the 405. The road was narrow and twisted, bordered by shadowy hills and fences of quiet, darkened mansions. Then came the sharp curve. Marcus yawned, blinked, and slammed the brakes. A massive shape stood in the middle of the road. Tires screamed. The car swerved, fishtailing wildly before halting just inches from the animal. A cow? Marcus gasped, chest heaving. The creature just stood there, still and calm, eyes reflecting the headlights like eerie orbs. Its hide was spotted and rough, a mottled brown and white pattern that looked wildly out of place in Los Angeles. Marcus opened the door slowly, cautiously, heart still pounding. "Hey." "Buddy," he muttered, stepping closer, keeping his hands low like he was approaching a skittish dog. "What are you doing here?" Before he could get too close, a voice shouted from behind him, "Don't move!" Startled, Marcus turned around. A tall man was jogging toward him from the side of the road, flashlight in hand. He wore basketball shorts and a UCLA hoodie, and though age had softened his once imposing figure, the face was unmistakable. Magic Johnson. Marcus blinked hard. Was he hallucinating from exhaustion? "Are you okay?" Magic asked, breathless but calm. "You almost hit her." Marcus nodded dumbly. "Yeah, but wait, her?" Magic pointed to the cow. "That's Clarabelle. She's mine. Escaped from my ranch this afternoon. I've been looking for her for hours." Marcus looked back at the animal. "You own a cow?" "I own a few. It's therapeutic," Magic said with a shrug. "But that's not the point. Clarabelle being here just saved your life." "What do you mean?" Magic motioned for Marcus to follow and led him a few steps forward, past where the cow had stood. Just beyond the curve, the road gave way to a steep drop. The guardrail was completely gone. Shattered pieces of it lay scattered in the dirt. A fresh skid mark disappeared over the edge. "There was an accident here earlier," Magic said. "Guy drove straight through. If you hadn't stopped for Clarabelle, you probably would have gone over too." Marcus stared into the darkness, the weight of it hitting him like a second crash. He could have died, minutes ago, and a cow had saved him. "I don't know what to say," Marcus murmured. "You don't have to," Magic said, patting his shoulder. "Just drive safe and maybe take the 101 next time." Marcus let out a shaky laugh. Behind them, Clarabelle mooed, loudly as if she knew. And that's how an exhausted hotel worker, a runaway cow, and a basketball legend collided on a Los Angeles road at 1:17 a.m. If you're hooked and want to know what happens next, subscribe to the channel and tell us in the comments, what's the weirdest thing that ever saved your life? The next morning, Marcus sat at a sun-drenched table inside a Malibu kitchen that looked like something out of a luxury magazine. Wide glass walls open to an ocean view, the smell of salt in the breeze. He wasn't dreaming. He'd triple-checked. Magic Johnson had invited him in for breakfast. Clarabelle, now back in her pen, watched them lazily from outside. "Orange juice or coffee?" Magic asked, already plating pancakes. Both." "Good answer," he grinned. Marcus still felt like he was watching himself from outside his body. One second, he'd almost driven off a cliff. The next, he was eating pancakes made by an NBA legend in a multi-million-dollar home. Was this survivor's guilt, or just LA being LA? "So you sleep at all?" Magic asked, sliding over the plate. "Not really, kept replaying it in my head." "Yeah, that's normal." Magic sat down across from him. "Takes a while to come down from something like that." Marcus studied him. There was a calm to Magic, like he had walked through enough storms to know when they'd pass. "I gotta ask," Marcus said, "how did you end up owning cows?" "You're Magic Johnson." Magic laughed. "You think being Magic Johnson means I can't enjoy peace and quiet?" "No, I guess I just never pictured it. I started with horses, then goats. Clarabelle came later. She was a rescue from a farm shutting down up north. Gentle, smart, escaped once before, broke out of a barn latch, no joke. You were lucky. Marcus chewed slowly. I keep thinking about that. If I hadn't hit the brakes, you would have gone over, no doubt. They sat in silence a moment, the weight of what didn't happen settling between them. Then Magic leaned forward. You know, he said, when you face death, you get two choices. You go numb, or you let it shake you awake. Marcus looked down at his plate. I've been kinda numb for a while. Job beating you down. Yeah, hotel work's no joke. I'm invisible until someone's mad. 12-hour shifts, graveyard hours, no real direction. I keep saying I'll get out, but I don't know where to go. Magic nodded like he understood completely. Sometimes it takes a close call to see the truth. Marcus raised an eyebrow. What truth? That maybe the life you're living isn't the one you were meant for. Marcus didn't know what to say. The words hit deep, and not just because they came from a hall of famer. Outside, Clarabelle mooed again, like she was chiming in. You should come back tomorrow, Magic said casually. Spend some time on the ranch. Clear your head. No phones, no noise. Just you and the air. Marcus blinked. Are you serious? Dead serious. He hesitated, then nodded. Yeah, okay, I'll come. Magic grinned, warm and wide. Good. Clarabelle likes you. Marcus laughed, the sound surprising even himself. It had been a long time since he said yes to anything that wasn't required. Maybe that cow really had done more than just stop a car. Marcus arrived the next morning just after sunrise. Fog hung over the Malibu hills, turning everything soft and golden as light filtered through the eucalyptus trees. He'd barely slept, but for once the fatigue didn't feel heavy. It felt new, like a different kind of exhaustion, the kind that followed anticipation instead of dread. Magic greeted him at the gate with a nod. Come on in. Ranch chores don't wait, Marcus smiled. You got me doing chores now? Magic tossed him a pair of gloves. You said you wanted clarity. They started with the goats, feeding, checking hooves, cleaning the shelter. It was harder than Marcus expected, but strangely satisfying. Next, they moved to the stables. Horses watched them with slow blinks, their warm breath rising in clouds. Then it was Clarabelle's turn. She was standing in her own space at the back of the ranch, calmly chewing hay, tail flicking. She remembers you, Magic said, walking up to her with no hesitation. You should try. Marcus hesitated. What if she doesn't like me? She saved your life, man. She already picked you. With a cautious step, Marcus moved closer. Clarabelle turned her big eyes toward him. Slowly, gently, he reached out. Her nose was wet and cool. She leaned into his hand. Something cracked open in his chest. They stood like that for a long time, just a man and a cow, breathing together in the morning light. After a while, Magic leaned against the fence beside him. So what do you want to do with your life? Marcus exhaled. That's the million-dollar question. Forget money. Forget expectations. What do you want? He thought about it, really thought. I want Ao to be outside to make things work with my hands. I want silence sometimes. I want to feel like what I do matters. Magic nodded. That's not small stuff. I always thought I had to stick it out at the hotel, you know, pay dues, climb some ladder. Whose ladder? Magic asked. Because if it's not yours, maybe it's time to build your own. The words hung in the air. Marcus looked around the ranch, the quiet rhythm of it all, the smell of hay, the soft snorting of animals, the warm sun rising over the ridge. For the first time in years, he felt still. You hiring? He joked. Magic laughed. Not full-time, but I got friends who run agricultural programs. Inner city gardens, animal therapy programs, places that could use someone with heart. Marcus blinked. You think I have that? Magic didn't answer immediately, just looked at him and said, Clarabelle thinks so. That's good enough for me. They spent the rest of the day fixing a fence. It was hard work. Marcus had splinters, a sore back, dirt under every fingernail. But his mind was quiet. No hotel bells, no fake smiles, no fluorescent lights buzzing overhead, just sky. As he left that evening, Clarabelle trotted up to the gate. She stared at him like she knew something he didn't. And maybe she did. The hotel lobby smelled like bleach and stress. Marcus had returned to work after 2 days at the ranch. The moment the glass doors slid open, the familiar weight settled back on his shoulders. The fake smile reattached itself. The headset buzzed in his ear. "Guest complaint in 614, came a voice from the back office. Marcus sighed. "Copy that." As he stepped into the elevator, the contrast hit him like a punch. 2 days ago, he was repairing fences and feeding goats. Today, he was being yelled at by a man in a bathrobe because his omelet was cold. "I'll get that fixed for you immediately, sir," Marcus said with mechanical calm. He did everything right. Smiled when he didn't want to. Apologized when it wasn't his fault. Smoothed over a dozen problems by lunch. But the mask didn't fit like it used to. By 5 p.m., he was on break, sitting outside in the small alley behind the building. The city roared around him, honking cars, jackhammers, sirens. He closed his eyes and tried to remember the smell of hay. His phone buzzed. Text from Magic. "That job I mentioned? There's an interview tomorrow, no pressure, just go see it." Marcus stared at the message, heart thudding. He hadn't told anyone he was even thinking about leaving. But he hadn't stopped thinking about it since Clarabelle blocked his car. That night he walked home instead of driving. He wanted to move slowly. Feel the ground. Let the questions swirl without trying to force an answer. Was he ready to quit? Could he really leave behind the stable paycheck even if it drained his soul? Halfway home, he stopped at a community garden tucked between 2 apartment buildings. It had always been there, but he'd never paid attention. Now he climbed the small gate and walked among the beds. Tomatoes, herbs, kale. He knelt and touched the soil. Still warm from the sun. A woman watering plants looked up. "You here to volunteer?" Marcus opened his mouth, then paused. "Not today. Just visiting." "Well," she smiled, "come back when you're ready. We're always here." He smiled back. The next morning he showed up at a modest urban farm in south-central LA. Nothing fancy. Raised beds, a chicken coop, a classroom shed. Magic was already there, leaning against a truck. "Glad you came," he said. "This place works with local kids. Teaches them how to grow food, care for animals, and build something with their hands." Marcus nodded slowly. "You won't get rich," Magic said, "but it might just save your life." The director, a woman named Lena, showed him around. By the end of the tour, Marcus was already kneeling next to a 12-year-old, teaching her how to hold a trowel. It felt right. Later that day, Lena shook his hand. "We'd love to bring you on, part-time for now, see how it fits." Marcus smiled, genuine this time. "I'm in." That night he stood outside Magic's ranch again, Clarabelle watching from her pen. "Looks like I owe you," Marcus whispered. Clarabelle blinked slowly, then let out a long, peaceful moo. 6 weeks later, Marcus woke up before his alarm. No groggy dread. No rush to iron a uniform shirt. Just morning light filtering through a cracked window and the distant cluck of chickens across the street. He stretched, rolled out of bed, and pulled on a hoodie, dust-stained and sun-faded from work that felt nothing like the old grind. The farm had become his rhythm. Mornings spent teaching kids to dig and plant, afternoons repairing fencing or organizing harvest crates. It was physical and messy, but he went home tired on purpose. The kind of tired that felt like evidence. Today was a big one. The community was hosting its first open house, a full afternoon of garden tours, food demos, and a mini petting zoo Magic had personally helped sponsor. Marcus had even invited some of his old hotel co-workers. A few said they might stop by. At noon, the lot buzzed with laughter and music. Kids ran between rows of sunflowers. Parents asked questions about composting. Local vendors handed out tacos and fruit cups. Magic arrived just past 2 p.m., dressed down in jeans and a Dodgers cap, Clarabelle in tow. Yes, Clarabelle. She rode in the trailer like a celebrity and stepped onto the lot like she owned it. Marcus laughed out loud when he saw her. "I thought you were joking," he said, walking up. She's the reason you're here, isn't she? Magic grinned. Clarabelle mooed in agreement. They set her up in a shaded pen where kids could pet her under supervision. She stood still and regal, occasionally sniffing a small hand or brushing her nose against a giggling face. Lena approached with 2 lemonades. I've never seen so many people ask about cow adoptions. She's got star power, Marcus said. Later that day, as the crowd thinned and the sun dipped lower, Marcus stood beside Magic near the chicken coop. You were right, Marcus said quietly. That close call, it shook me awake. Magic nodded. You're doing something real now. I used to think being alive meant just not dying, but I get it now. It's more than that. Magic looked at him. So what's next? Marcus smiled. I'm thinking of starting a side program for teens aging out of the foster system, farm work, mentorship, maybe even housing. Clarabelle's Corner. Magic's face lit up. I like the sound of that. Clarabelle mooed again as if casting her vote. Would have never guessed this would all start with a random detour, Marcus said. Funny how the road knows before you do. As the sky turned orange, Marcus sat alone on a bench by the back fence. Clarabelle grazed nearby. For the first time in years, he didn't feel lost. He felt rooted. The road that almost ended him had led him somewhere better. And that's the real story of how a runaway cow stopped a tragedy and helped one man start over. If this story moved you, subscribe to the channel and click the video on screen. It was chosen just for you, and you're going to love it.